we are going to be bringing you a giveaway where everybody is a winner. I'm going to be reading some spicy romance. This was not a good idea for a 24-hour readathon. If you say reverse harem, I say no. This is such a slay. I do have a modest homeware haul. If you ease me into poly gently, then there's a chance I'm gonna like it. Before we get into this little weekend romance reading vlog, I would like to introduce you to the sponsor of today's video, which is Bellesa, as we are going to be bringing you a giveaway where everybody is a winner. So Bellesa is a bi-woman company for all things sexual wellness with a mission to encourage everybody to explore, embrace, and celebrate their sexuality. In other words, they make hella good sex toys. Bellesa were kind enough to send me a couple of their hottest products to show to you guys, so let me introduce you to my new besties. The cute little pebble is ergonomically built to fit perfectly in your hand with independently controlled vibration and suction modes with no annoying pattern vibration modes. But if hands-free fun is more your vibe, pun very much intended, let me introduce you guys to the Air Vibe Pro. This little beauty comes in a discreet and aesthetically pleasing case. She is waterproof, she's rechargeable, and she is silent but deadly, designed to simultaneously target the clitoris and G-spot, and she can be controlled with a remote. So if you think the Bellesa is a brand that you can vibe with, once again the pun is very much intended, then please run, do not walk, to the giveaway link down in my description box for your chance to win gift cards or sex toys from Bellesa Boutique. And remember, everybody walks away with something and nobody walks away empty-handed. A big thank you to Bellesa for sponsoring this video. It is 4:55 on Friday and I'm just about to clock off for the weekend. I say clock off because I know for a fact that like tomorrow morning, potentially Sunday, I'm going to at least have to proof some videos and also probably sort out some Patreon posts that I was supposed to schedule today, but I ended up taking too long filming and that did not get done. But regardless, we are going to have fun with this video. I am starting a 24-hour readathon with my patrons tonight at 7 p.m. BST. It's the Cadre and Inner Circle 24-hour readathon, and the prompt for this month is mood read, and I'm going to be reading some spicy romance. And I know if you watch my TBR, I know that I said that I'm sticking exclusively to that TBR, but in my defense, I forgot to put this book on. This is an arc for a book that is released right at the beginning of October, and if I don't get to it now, it's not happening, okay? So we're doing it. But that is Endless Terrors by KJ Sutton, which is the 5th book in the Fortuna Swan series. Kelsey sent this to me back in July when I was visiting her, and I am hyped. Now, I didn't know if I was going to read this for this vlog, and I also don't know if this vlog is going to be 24 hours or a weekend vlog. We will see how it goes, because when I was unsure, because I thought, you know, this is a big book, and then I opened the EPUB this morning and it said that it was like 300 pages, and I was like, I can do that easily, but also weird that it's so short. So I started and it was just taking me a little while to get through the pages, you know, and then I went and I looked on Amazon to see if it had like a page length for the finished book. The hardback is going to be over 700 pages, so I may have accidentally committed to attempting to try to read a 700 page book over this 24-hour period. And also, if you remember how dice sprints work, if we roll a double, I gotta swap books, so I can't even guarantee that I'm going to be able to spend all of my sprint time reading that one singular book. But if you don't know what Endless Terrors is, it is book 5 in the Fortuna Swan series, which is a fantasy romance series. It's a fairy romance, but it does have a bunch of other paranormal creatures in it as well, including our main character Fortuna. Fortuna is a nightmare that means if she comes into contact with you, she can sense what your greatest fears are and make you believe that you are experiencing them. Now, the nightmares are a dying breed, and Fortuna is pretty sure that she is the last of her kind because her brother went missing 2 years prior to the start of this series, and he vanished without a trace. She cannot find a trace of him, and just about when she's ready to give up hope, she is approached by a very powerful fairy male who tells her that he will take her directly to her brother because he knows where he is, providing that she marries him. That's the premise. I'm now 5 books deep. Things are very intense. This book has a ton of content warnings, or this series has a ton of content warnings, including like gore, torture, sexual assault. Like, it can get pretty dark in places, and when it does get dark, like, it is hella dark. But where I'm at now, we haven't had anything extremely traumatic happen in a little while, so going into book 5 I'm feeling okay, but I know that we're approaching the end of this series. There's only 1 book left, so I'm prepared for the shit to hit the fan in this one. Yeah, I'm gonna clock off now. I'm gonna go make some food. I'm gonna take just under 2 hours to decompress, and then I'm going to kick off the starting readathon sprints with my patrons. I think I have Beth joining me tonight, so at least I'm not on my own. Good evening, guys. It is 11:42 now, so you can bet that I am ready to get myself into bed. But I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a check-in on my progress at the end of the first sprint, and I can confirm that this was not a good idea for a 24-hour readathon. At the end of those sprints, I'm 106 out of 300 pages into this, bearing in mind that I have read the entire, we had like 4 50-minute sprints and I read through the entirety of them. So based on the fact that Amazon says that this book is over 700 pages, I have decided to roughly double my page count. So I'm on page 106 out of 300 according to this EPUB, but I think if we compared it to the print version, I'm more like 212 pages into it. But that still isn't correct, because you would double it and then some to make it match what Amazon has as the hardback page count, you know. But regardless, I think it's highly unlikely that I'm gonna have finished this by the end of sprints tomorrow, even though we're going for 7 hours, just based on my progress right now. So I'm gonna assume that this is probably gonna be a weekend vlog, which is fine actually, because Sunday is pretty much my only free day in all of September, so I'm gonna get myself a pumpkin spice latte and do some cool stuff. But anyway, in terms of how I'm enjoying the book, I am into it so far. I was kind of putting this off for a little while because obviously it's such a highly anticipated release to me, and also I don't have the best recollection of what happened in Beautiful Nightmare, so I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't be able to follow it very well. But I'm doing well, I'm doing fine so far. This is a little bit more, I want to say, plot driven than some of the previous installments have been. The first 3 books, I would say, have much slower starts, and then the plot starts to kind of snowball a little bit later in the book. I thought that Beautiful Nightmares was by far the best installment in terms of the pacing and how that relates to the plot. So in Beautiful Nightmares, I felt like, because it was a very long book, it was like 700 pages, and I feel like the pace was consistent throughout. So we had like moments of action, and then we had like a slower moment of character development or romance, and then more like driving the plot or like action. And this is pretty much the same as that. I would say that we have more plot, but not in terms of it being super action based. It's just we jump right in. There's actually a little bit of a time jump, and then we kind of fill in the gaps a little bit later in the book. But Fortuna at this point, like at the start of this book, it pretty much goes from where we leave her at the end of book 4 and her direct like response to the plot twist and the cliffhanger that we're left on book 4. So it is kind of, I don't want to say it's slow, but I feel like I'm just before like a bit of a scene change in the book, and I'm currently 6 pages, so like 12 pages away from the start of the next chapter. So I mean, it is late. I need to charge this as well. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get ready for bed. I'm going to finish this chapter, and then in the morning I'm going to pop this on charge while I proof my video for Sunday, because I didn't have time to do that today, and get that all scheduled. And then by the time that's done, this should be charged. I mean, I am in sprints for most of tomorrow, and there's plugs right there, so if I don't charge it overnight, that isn't such a big deal. It's just obviously it's easier if I don't have to be plugged into the wall constantly. These surprisingly lead towards the lower end of the scale. Together, I think it's set in Michigan, and I think it's very, very cold. It's like the middle of winter.
What's up, Peloton? How are you? I'm Ali Love. Welcome. This is a 20-minute 2010s pop ride. Allow your legs to float up. I want you to find easy.
So it is 11:50. I'm about to get set up for sprints. I haven't read anything today, but I did want to show you that I have come dressed for the book that we're currently reading. I'm wearing my team collar shirt because I want there to be no confusion about what team I'm on in this book. However, right, I'm not a poly girl. Typically, I don't, if you say reverse harem, I say no. I say no, I don't want to read it. But if I start a book not knowing that there will be poly elements in it, and you like ease me into it slowly, I feel like sometimes I can vibe with it. I feel like there are some love triangles in books that would benefit, not necessarily benefit, but wouldn't be damaged by a poly relationship. Like, we could throuple it out and I would be fine with that. Fortuna could be one of those series, and I am tempted to dig my heels in a little bit because I do love collar. As you can tell, I bought a shirt. But if I had to, like if we had to go the poly route in this, I would not necessarily be opposed to it, because while I am a Team College girl, I'm partial to a bit of Laurie as well, and I'm not sorry. So I haven't read anything today. I'm a little bit past where I said I was yesterday because I just pretty much finished the chapter that I was on when I spoke to you last night, which was another, like, if we're doubling the pages, I think it was about 15 pages. So I have scheduled the video that I had to. I got a workout in, I've showered, I've got myself ready for the day, and I am about to set up for sprints. And we'll see how far I get. I really just don't think I'm finishing this. I did work out my percentage last night before I went to bed, and I read 40% yesterday, which isn't bad. And I think I can at least match that because these sprints are going to be like 2 hours longer than the ones from yesterday. But I don't think we're getting to the end. I don't want to be a defeatist though, because if I don't feel like I can do it, I feel like I'm gonna procrastinate because I know I can't do it, you know? I'll check in and let you know how it's going. Oh, the book got spicy, by the way, last night. Wasn't expecting it. I am glad that I read to the end of that chapter. It was a good time. Wasn't mad about it.
Catch this murder. Till then, it shall remain a mystery. Oh, I think I know where this is going.
So proud of that. When were you born, right?
February 5th, 1978.
Where? It is 11:30, the readathon ended at 7, and I did not manage to finish my book. Absolutely nobody is surprised. I did make it to, out of the 291 pages of the ebook version, I'm on like page 232, so I have like 59 pages to go, although that's 59 ebook pages. In real pages it's more than double that, but I am more than 3/4 of the way through, so I am really happy with my progress. Since the readathon ended, I have read a couple of chapters, but I've mainly spent it, what have I even watched? I've spent it watching TV and doing other things. So I started by knitting the 5 rows that I needed to add to my blanket after the charcoal wool arrived because I'd run out, and then I was watching Cruel Summer and playing The Sims 2, and Brie got old. He didn't use the kibble early enough to make her, or like to keep her an adult, so now she's an elder pup. And I was like, look, I can't let my baby grow old. I'm a bit upset about that. Actually, this is why we shouldn't play The Sims. I'm very sensitive. I watched an episode of Schitt's Creek with Curtis before he went to play cards, and then I watched an episode of Cruel Summer, 2 episodes of Night Stalker, and another episode of Cruel Summer. And I also found out that the After the Altar episodes for season 4 of Love is Blind are now up, so they have now also been added to my watch list, as well as season 2 of The Ultimatum, Discovery of Witches, which I've started, and the rest of Cruel Summer season 2. We also started a rewatch of Game of Thrones not long ago as well. So I'm gonna go get in bed now, but I don't know whether to read a chapter because it's late, so I'm just gonna get ready for bed and then sleep. I don't know whether to read a chapter or whether to take my laptop upstairs and watch another episode of Cruel Summer. I don't know, maybe I'll take both so I can decide, because the sooner the book is done the better. I am enjoying it though, but it does feel very different from a Fortuna book because this one is set in hell. The characters that are there are not the typical characters we have in a Fortuna novel. So I'm kind of missing all of that stuff. And because it's been like over a year since I read Beautiful Nightmares? Beautiful Nightmares, right? Because it's been like over a year, it's almost like I'm reading a different book because it has a completely different setting. And Fortuna, since we had, because when I said to you guys earlier that I feel like I'm approaching a setting change, I was. And because we're in this entirely new setting, and in this setting Fortuna's surrounded by entirely new characters, it's almost like I'm reading a completely different book. But I'm having a good time with this completely different book that I'm reading. I don't really know how it's going to wrap up. I didn't think that as much of the book would take place in this setting, so I have no idea like when or if the setting is going to shift in the last however many pages I have left of this book. And I also don't really know what the conflict of this book is going to be, so I guess we'll find out when we get there, which will definitely be tomorrow. Good morning guys, we are about to have our PSL experience, but I thought I'd just bring you a little bit of an outfit of a day before we do, because I feel like this is such a slay. I just have like regular mom jeans. I bought these from New Look ages ago. The crocheted top was on sale at ASOS, and the jacket's from Zara, but I feel like the combination, I've been wearing a lot of like beige and green recently, and that's really not me, but I feel like it works. Am I gonna convert my entire wardrobe to beige? I don't think so, because I don't feel like it's a colour that's gonna suit me in the winter. I'm enjoying the few beige pieces that I have right now. We got the goods, guys, and now we're going to the range, which is going to be the third most exciting thing to happen today because we also have TK Maxx on the list as well. So I'm back from our little excursion and I do have a modest homeware haul for you guys. We went to the range, TK Maxx, Matalan, Boots for a couple of holiday bits before I go to Croatia next week, and Asda, because at Asda they have the Califia pumpkin spice cold brew, which I use as a creamer, and it's the only place that we can get it, so I popped in there as well. So I didn't actually get too much. I was quite good in TK Maxx, mainly because I don't get paid until next week. But I picked up this, and don't ask me why, don't ask me what I'm gonna put in it, but I got this cauldron which Brie seems to enjoy quite a bit. I was thinking, I really don't know what to put in. I could put my Inner Circle book picks in it because they're overflowing the mug, or we could maybe put a plant in it, but we'll see what I'm going to do with that. It was just really cool and I couldn't leave it behind. I only go to TK Maxx in autumn. We go once a month from August through to October, and every time we go I'm allowed to buy one scented candle. So this time I picked up maple cider because, if I'm being honest, I have a lot of pumpkin candles and none of the ones that they had were speaking to me. And with TK Maxx, you know, they have the really pretty ones with the really pretty lids. I find that the ones with the really pretty lids smell the worst, which is just real unfortunate. But I haven't had an apple candle in a while and I do really love apple, so we got this one. It says sun-ripened golden apple embellished with sweet shimmers of maple sugar and white ginger over cinnamon and clove. She smells delicious. And then from the range, kind of boring, kind of cool, I just picked up a bunch of frames because I'm gonna order some prints next week that I've been eyeing up for a little while, but also I have a bunch of prints that I keep meaning to buy frames for, and because I have like a gallery wall, I don't want all of the frames to be the same, and every time I go to Wilko and B&M, which are really close to me, they're all just like basic black and white frames. So the range has some really good ones. I did get a black one, but it has like a, what would you call this edge? Beveled? It's more than just a plain thin black frame anyway. This one is an A4. I got this one, which I have something in mind for this one, which is a nice dark wood. This one's an A4 as well. And I also picked up this gold 10x8. That was pretty much it. So now, with the rest of my day, what time is it, like 4 p.m? I'm going to look through the prints that I have, see if I want to frame any, and then I need to start packing for Croatia because we're leaving at midnight on Thursday, and I have 2 vlogs to edit and schedule and one sit down video to film, edit and schedule, which I'm hoping I can get done over Monday and Tuesday, but they may take me into Wednesday as well. So I need to start packing my case now to see if there's anything that I need washing, see if there's anything I need to pick up last minute, because I just really don't want to be leaving that to Wednesday, and that's just far too late for me as well. I need to be a little bit more organized than that for my own like mental well-being.
I'm sure she's a starter, just like her kid, the angel lover. I feel like a dog, dressed like a cat, not to be happy, just to understand when it's not. Even if I were God.
So yeah, this is your chest, but it's also getting those shoulders, that opposite side where those toes are, flexing that foot. You should be feeling it in your groin right here, right?
There's something in the silence of this waiting room.
So I would love to tell you guys that I finished my book last night, that I spent last night reading, wrapped up Endless Terrors, and we got this vlog done in a weekend. Well, that would be a lie, so I'm not gonna say that, but I did finish Endless Terrors this morning and I really, really loved it. I rated it I want to say a 4.5 out of 5. I'm not sure if I've given any other book in this series less than 5 stars, but I didn't give it a 4.5 because it's my least favorite in the series or anything. It's definitely not my favorite for sure, personal enjoyment wise, but I think in terms of like the quality of the book, it is definitely better than like some of the earlier books in the series, just because obviously KJ Sutton is growing as a writer with each installment in this series. And I think that the latter two books have benefited greatly from having a much chunkier page count, because the earlier books are like very fast paced and these ones move at a, I don't want to say they're slow paced because I don't think that they are, but I think that they move at a pace that definitely fits the story better and the amount of content within this story. I feel like the reason why this for sure isn't my favorite in the series is just because it does spend so much time, like the whole, I couldn't tell you how many pages it is, but the big like meat of this story takes place in a different location than we've kind of spent the majority of the rest of the Fortuna series in. It's also establishing a new character, and while I really enjoyed that, I did think I touched upon it in this video, how it felt like a different book in some ways because the setting and the cast of characters was completely different to what I'm familiar with. I still love Fortuna herself as a character. She is so infuriating at times, and she always has been, and the thing that I love about her the most is that she's stubborn. She makes a lot of mistakes, and sometimes you just want to shake her because she'll make the same mistakes over and over again, but she just has such a big heart and she cares about so many people. And she also has a little bit of a temper. She can be impulsive and she can make some snap decisions. I liked seeing her make some of those impulsive decisions out of anger in this book, and I also kind of liked the art of this whole new thing, shall we say. I obviously don't want to spoil this because it's an arc, so like very few people have read it right now, but I liked all of that stuff. I just feel like it just felt too much because of how much of the book it was. It felt almost like a different story in some regards, and I feel like this book could have been even longer, not in terms of like, oh, it needs to be 1,000 pages or anything, just because the whole scope of what was going on in here and us spending so much time. And I don't feel like we should have spent any less time establishing this new character in this new location, but I feel like we should have spent more time on the other stuff that happens in the book alongside that, just to pad those sections out a bit, because I feel like we spent a lot of time in this new setting that potentially the pace there moved a little bit slower than it had to, whereas in the other elements I feel like we could have done with a little bit more of that slower pacing just to sit in those moments for a little bit longer. Colith is still my man. I know I said that like if you ease me into Polly gently then there's a chance I'm gonna like it. I do love some elements of the potential Polly nature of this series, which is a lot of like words that actually said not very much, but there are elements of it. There's guys that I like and guys that I'm not as into, shall we say. And while I do think that like, yes, you can ease me into Polly in some ways, those ways being Colin and Laurie, other ways I'm not necessarily sold. I am really excited to see how the book, I can't believe that we're going into the final book in this series with the next installment, but I am really excited to see how the plot wraps up, because I feel like it's been a very slow build of assembling all of these pieces that are finally going to like fully come together in book 6. And I don't even want to think about how long book 6 is going to be, because I feel like it needs to be a tome to do all of these like elements justice, and I really hope that it is going to be a tome. But I'm also very interested to see what the romantic resolution of this series is going to be, because I'm pretty sure that Kelsey has said that she has always known how this series is going to end, and I don't. I have my hopes, but based on how the story has developed over time and it's become like there's just more and more characters involved, I don't know if the ending that I envision, the one that I wanted, is even like a possibility anymore really. But you know, it involves my guy Colin, like 100% for sure. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed Endless Terrace. So glad that I read this one to kick off my September, especially because I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to fit it in this month, and I am eagerly awaiting book 6. I actually think I'm going to do a full reread of this series before book 6, and you guys have also in the past asked me for some Fortuna related content, which I didn't want to start at like book 4 or 5 in the series. If I did anything, I wanted it to be for the series as a whole, or it to be comprehensive and include all of the books. We'll see, because I don't know. Obviously we don't know what the future holds, but it is a possibility that there would be some Fortuna content in the future. So I'm actually not going to be vlogging for the next like 3 days, which is going to feel really weird, but the next vlog you're going to see from me on my channel is going to be a Croatia vlog with Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction. We will be spending, I think it's like 7 nights, 8 days in Croatia. Lots of fun activities, a really packed itinerary, and I'm hoping to read some fantasy in the sun while I'm there. So do stay tuned for that if you are at all interested. Before I wrap up this vlog, I just wanted to say a massive thank you once again to Bellesa for sponsoring this video. And please don't forget that you can head into my description box if you would like to enter a giveaway and win some gift cards or potentially even some sex toys from Bellesa Boutique. But aside from that, guys, I do hope you've enjoyed this vlog if you made it this far. If you have, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.